President Trump holding a massive rally in Wildwood, New Jersey over the weekend, drawing a crowd said to be 100,000 strong. Look at these pictures. Trump flying North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum out to speak at that rally, fueling speculation he's a top contender on the VP shortlist. Trump praised Burgum and his wife during a speech on Saturday night. Watch.
Doug Burgum and Catherine, who's been, it's just an incredible couple. You won't find anybody better than this gentleman in terms of his knowledge of, he made his money in technology, but he probably knows more about energy than anybody I know. So get ready for something, okay? Just get ready. But Doug Burgum has been incredible, and the country's lucky to have him.
Joining me now is the man himself, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. He's also a former 2024 presidential candidate himself. Governor, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Yeah, great to be with you, Maria.
Tell us about the weekend rally. Was it really 100,000 people there?
Well, absolutely. And I got to tell you, the support for President Trump, as a pollster would call it, a pundit, voter intensity through the roof. Coming in on the motorcade for miles before we even got to the venue, people lining the streets, and these were families, these were firefighters on top of their trucks, local law enforcement, people cheering on the motorcade coming in, and then inside, some people had waited for days to get in. This feels more like a rock concert than a political rally, but the love and support for President Trump is huge, and I'd say there's one commonality across all the demographics are there, and these are people that they love President Trump, but they love him because he understands what they're going through. He understands the economy. He understands the pocketbook issues they're facing. And they know that they were better off when President Trump was president than they are now under President Biden. And that's where the enthusiasm is coming from.
Governor, are you talking with the president about being his partner and his vice presidential ticket?
Not at all. The focus here is on President Trump winning that election, and I feel blessed to be among a large group of people that every day are getting up, and whether they're in the private sector, whether they're elected officials, whether they're other surrogates, but people that are out there helping President Trump as he's tied up in these sham trials in New York. Everybody's got to be helping get the message out about that he's right on the economy, he's right on energy, he's right on national security, he's right on the border, and Joe Biden is 100% wrong on the issues that matter most to all these folks, and that's what's showing up in the polls now with President Trump getting bigger and bigger leads.
Yeah, well, look, the president also talked a bit about your strength and experience in the energy industry. North Dakota is an energy-rich state. Tell us about the capacity there and what the potential is in terms of not just economic policy, but national security policy as well.
Well, these are all tied together, but I think the message here is not just about energy, because energy is at the basis of all the inflation that Americans are feeling, because there's an energy component in every product that you buy. And of course, with Joe Biden, between his administration, the State Department, the Treasury Department, everybody who's the Commerce Department, everybody who's lifting the sanctions on our adversaries like Iran and Venezuela and Russia, we've allowed our adversaries to sell all this energy around the world, including to China, at a time when the Biden administration across a dozen of agencies is trying to shut down U.S. energy. So it's very simple. President Trump understands that we need to sell energy to our friends and allies. We need to get the price of energy back that'll lower inflation and stop having the world buy it from our adversaries. And on top of that, the Biden administration is selling all this in that somehow their policy is better for the environment. But if you stop U.S. production, which is clean, and shove that production to our adversaries who basically don't even have an EPA, you're actually making the global environment worse too. So there isn't anything that's truthful about the energy policy that the Biden administration is pushing.
Well, it's really not a lot of time for President Trump to make all of these arguments because he's in a courtroom all day long. I know you had a big rally on Saturday night, but, he only gets, Saturdays or Wednesdays to campaign. President Trump's so-called hush money trial will resume and be back in session this morning. The prosecution's star witness is Michael Cohen. He'll take the stand, we understand, at about 9:30. A new YouGov Economist poll finds fewer Americans actually believe the trial will end in a conviction. 22% said that they think Trump will be convicted, down from 24% last month. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy joined me yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures with his thoughts. Watch.
Because all of this is backfiring, this persecution of President Trump, going after him because of politics. No one in America believes President Trump would be in a trial today if he was not running for president.
Yeah.
They're coming after our democracy.
Yeah.
And it just shows last night with that crowd. You got Lawrence Taylor. You have Democrats in that crowd, independents. I would be very concerned if I was in the White House today.
Governor, what's your reaction to all of this? Do you think people see it that way? And how will this affect the election?
Well, I do agree. This whole strategy of lawfare is backfiring, and it's backfiring in a big way. 3 of the 4 cases have fallen apart. This 4th one is a total show trial. Everyone knows that in any other jurisdiction, this case would not have even been brought. And then, of course, if you're the prosecution and your star witness is a convicted perjurer and someone who's been convicted of lying to Congress, that's not a case that any American people can see right through it, and they can see because again, back on the issues of President Trump, big leads in all the swing states. The Americans are smart enough to understand this is lawfare, and it's a political effort to try to slow down President Trump when he's winning on the issues that matter to Americans, whether, again, that's the economy, whether it's the border, national security. I mean, President Biden's energy policies are actually providing the funding to Russia and Iran, who are then fighting the wars against America and our allies. And so Biden's got it completely backwards. Americans see that. And they see that President Trump is someone who's leading now the party of the working people and the party of common sense.
What do you think President Trump's most important policy will be should he return to the White House?
Well, I think President Trump is known for cutting the biggest tax cut in American history that helped energize our economy. And our economy was just cooking when President Trump, we had one of the best economies this nation's ever had when he was in office. But I think the thing that goes misunderstood is he cut so much regulation.
Right.
The Biden administration is, shoving, it's just in North Dakota, we're fighting over 30 different rules and mandates at the state level that are not coming from Congress. These are coming from free-letter agencies that are trying to push an ideology on the American people, on small businesses and on farmers and ranchers and energy producers. And when President Trump gets back in and cuts that red tape, that's one of the reasons why our economy is going to take off. And it's one of we have to. For us to be able to compete against China and the rest of the world, we have to have a strong economy. President Trump understands working people. He understands small business. He's a businessman. He understands the economy. Joe Biden, I don't know, has ever created a job that wasn't a government job in 50 years. I think fundamentally the administration doesn't understand how the economy works.
Are you expecting to be part of Trump's cabinet?
I have no expectation, and of course, I spent my career in the private sector, and there's so many opportunities to go back in the private sector. I'll be done being governor in December 15th. Being governor of North Dakota, one of the greatest jobs in the world. I've loved that job and still loving every day of it. But I have no expectations about that. But anybody that cares about their communities, their future, their kids, their grandkids, they should be working hard to make sure that we get this country a 180-degree turn from where Biden is taking it and getting President Trump back in the White House.
Well, it's one of the reasons Florida Congressman Corey Mills is filing articles of impeachment against Biden for his plan to withhold weapons to Israel if Israel goes into Rafah. I spoke with the congressman earlier in this program. Here's what he told me. Watch.
It's an obvious this for that, a quid pro quo, or what's now should be called a quid pro Joe. He knew what the Israeli supplemental aid package would include. He knew that once this was congressionally appropriated aid funding, that it was supposed to move forward. And instead, he pulled the wool over the eyes of the American people by sending the first shipment, which was taken by Hamas, which is being utilized by their fighters and also to be sold off to help with the counteroffensive, while withholding weapons shipments to the IDF and to Israel in exchange for political gain in the elections.
Governor, what about that? The administration is publicly admitting that, yeah, it will hold back weapons, precision weapons that were already congressionally approved to Israel.
Well, Maria, I said this at the rally on Saturday, but we've always had a policy in America where presidents don't negotiate with terrorists. That's just a regardless of what party you're in. But Joe Biden's gone so far beyond that. He's now negotiating for the terrorists. He's literally put a red line to Israel, saying, "I'm going to withhold stuff if you don't behave." He should be telling Hamas that we're going to withhold things for them if they don't release the hostages. He's negotiating for the wrong side, literally. And of course, and what he's just saying, he's doing it because he's worried about the Hamas wing of the Democrat Party, because it is an election. It's an election group for him. He's trying to win votes from.
Quite extraordinary. Governor, it's good to have you this morning. We so appreciate your time this morning. Come back soon.